Relationships, romantic relationships, in particular marriage, are institutions that are not designed for maximizing your individuality. We live in a society, in the West especially, where your individuality is important to people. Living a life of, let's say, authenticity or empowerment, pursuing your dreams, right? Developing a skill that's unique to you, bring your own unique spark into the world. This is something that we're constantly trying to encourage in other people. Tell your truth, for example. We've heard that a lot lately, right? So there is an all-pervasive emphasis on you as an individual. And marriage is an institution where you are, in my opinion, supposed to forego. You sacrifice a lot of your individuality because a man and a woman that come together should orient themselves in service toward each other. And that means she needs to shape herself to meet his needs, and he needs to shape himself to meet hers, and both of them, in doing this together, shape themselves as a couple to meet the needs of the children. It's a very sacrificial institution, and it's beautiful for that reason. It's the opposite of selfish. To be a father, to be a mother, in the true sense, is one of the most selfless things you can do if done properly. There are people who go into the institution of marriage or wanting to become a parent for selfish reasons, and that's not what I'm talking about. So at its truest form, romantic relationships inhibit and should inhibit the maximization of your individuality. Most people disagree with this. Most people think they can have their cake and eat it. No, I should be with someone who wants to push me to be myself, who wants to empower me and make me be the best version of me. That is who I need to be with. And that is actually the opposite mindset. That is the mindset that leads to the marriage dissolving eventually. The proper orientation is to be, okay, what can I do to better serve my partner? And those relationships persist, and they become almost a column-like structure for the rest of the family. Now, in modern times, with the emphasis on individuality and individualism and maximizing your own authentic self, that ethos is completely at odds with the institution of marriage. So this is another reason why marriages are falling apart, in my opinion. Perhaps, at a fundamental level, one of the biggest reasons as to why is that we are trying to have our cake and eat it. We're trying to be of two minds. We want the ceremonial and ritualistic aspects of marriage because there are all these positive emotions associated with it, but we don't want to bring into it the sacrifice that is truly being asked of you to make. Now, that doesn't mean that a married couple can transition from a phase such as that into something that is a little bit more maximizing of the individual. For instance, I think when couples have become empty nesters and their kids have officially launched, and now perhaps the mom and dad are approaching retirement, maybe then space starts to be created for them to start to explore a little bit about themselves a little further. I'm sure many of you are cringing at what I'm saying, because it's such a foreign idea to modernity. But I think therein lies the reason as to why so many of these relationships fail. Pair bonding in and of itself is two coming together, becoming one. Now, unfortunately, what I've noticed happens is that it's very common for one of the two to have this mindset. Frankly, I think it's mostly men that want there to be a pair bond. And mostly women want to maximize their individuality. And these are younger, I'm talking about people in their 20s, okay? Former generations, it's kind of the other way around. Women sacrificed a lot and gave up, oftentimes asymmetrically, far more of their identity than their husband. But things have kind of flipped around in recent years. And so anyway, what ends up happening is that one or the other is of the mindset of coming together and forming one body, and the other one just wants to take advantage of the other person's sacrifice to maximize their individuality further. Now, it's traditionally been the case that women were the ones that sacrificed. And forgoed their maximizing their individuality. But even in the former time period where that was the case, men still had to forego their individuality because they had to shape themselves according to industry, or according to government, or according to the needs of war. Men had to shape themselves for something else rather than for their woman. So the woman placed herself in service of the man, and the man placed himself in service of the greater community. And that was kind of the order of things. But I think we're entering into an era now where for the first time, men and women can orient themselves in service toward each other. And we could potentially have the emergence of the most enlightened relationships human beings have ever had. And that would be a very beautiful thing to see. So, let me know what you think of that idea. I think it touches on the core of the problem in modern day dating, is that men and women both seem to be pursuing it purely from an individualistic standpoint. And not thinking about what they can bring to the table and offer the other person. They're not approaching it from the standpoint of service. Unfortunately, like I said, usually one does and the other doesn't, and that creates a kind of an abusive pair bond where one is giving and the other one is just taking. And those two pairs, if you watch my video on why opposites attract, I'll put a link to it. Just those two just naturally attract themselves to each other, because oftentimes givers are looking for someone that needs something they have to offer. And that's why givers aren't likely to ever find each other or attract each other. And it's unfortunate, but that really is what should happen. That's what we should strive for, is for a man to find someone that he can give to and that also can give to him, and a woman that can find a man that she can give to and that can also, that she's willing to accept what he has to offer her. Oftentimes, givers don't want to be receivers. You see this even in friendships, where, you know, a friend, every time you guys get together, this friend always wants to buy you coffee, and just because of his culture or her culture, it's something they have to do. They just have to treat you every time you guys go out, and will never, absolutely under no circumstances, let you pay. All right. This is not healthy either. It's not balanced. And so givers out there need to learn how to receive. And of course, those who are only receiving need to learn how to reorient themselves and become more of a servant of others. So that's my rant for the day. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.